It's a really funny thing about human nature. When you look outside and the sky is this just brilliant, perfectly clear blue, the absolute last thing your brain wants to process
Like a
is
massive storm.
exactly like a 120-mile-per-hour wind just tearing the roof off your house.
There.
We call it the sunny day paradox.
Oh, that's a great term for it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out right now, so, why worry about a storm that isn't even a blip on the radar?
It's hard to care when the sun is shining.
It really is. But, well, today's deep dive is aimed squarely at dismantling that trap. We're looking at a pretty brilliant dispatch from a Tampa-based realtor who has this very specific boots-on-the-ground vantage point.
Which is so valuable.
Totally. They've walked through literally hundreds of properties right in the immediate aftermath of major hurricanes, so they see exactly which homes survive with barely a scratch and which ones suffer catastrophic damage just purely because of delayed preparation.
Yeah, the stuff people put off until tomorrow.
Right. So our mission today is to extract the smartest, most impactful steps that you can take right now to not only protect your physical home, but actually increase its resale value in the process. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it. That sunny day paradox is a deeply ingrained cognitive bias. Like, our brains are literally hardwired to prioritize immediate reality over future probability.
I mean, if it's not right in front of us.
Exactly. If the dark clouds aren't literally rolling in over the horizon, the threat just remains entirely abstract.
Right.
But the realtor's perspective in our source material, it cuts right through that abstraction.
Because they see the actual aftermath.
Right. They aren't dealing in storm theory. They're operating in the realm of empirical financial reality. And in their experience, the line between a minor inconvenience and a total financial disaster usually begins right at the perimeter of your property.
The exterior shell.
The exterior shell.
The armor. And the author points out something really fascinating about regions that frequently experience these weather events, like Tampa. Homeowners develop this incredibly dangerous level of complacency.
Oh, absolutely. They get used to it.
Yeah, like a Category 1 storm rolls through, maybe it knocks over a couple of trash cans, and people just start to internalize this false confidence. They think, well, I've been through a hurricane, it's just a lot of rain, I'll just sleep through the next one.
Which honestly fundamentally misunderstands the physics of a Category 1 event.
Yeah.
I mean, you are still dealing with sustained winds between 74 and 95 miles per hour.
Which is highway speed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is an immense amount of kinetic energy that's continuously pressing against the envelope of your home, and it's actively searching for the path of least resistance.
Wow. Yeah, finding the weak spots.
Right. That force is more than enough to exploit any pre-existing weakness, which is why the author emphasizes getting a professional roof inspection immediately. Like, not when a depression forms in the Atlantic.
But today.
Yes, today.
Because once that storm is named on the local news, every single roofing contractor in a tri-county radius is going to be booked out for, 6 to 8 months?
Easily. It's a nightmare.
You will literally be staring at buckets in your living room, just desperate for someone to staple a tarp to your roof, let alone actually repair it. The whole logistics network of skilled trades just completely collapses under that kind of synchronized regional demand.
Yeah, that logistics bottleneck is brutal.
Yeah.
But we also really need to understand the mechanics of how water actually breaches a home before a major structural failure even occurs.
Like, the roof doesn't have to blow off.
No, not at all. A roof doesn't need to blow off for a house to be totally ruined. It usually starts with something microscopic.
Microscopic?
Yeah, it starts with those tiny, almost invisible cracks around your door frames and window casings that you've been ignoring for 3 years.
Oh, the silent water intrusion. I think this is the stealth killer of home equity.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Under normal, everyday rain conditions, gravity just pulls the water straight down over those tiny fissures. It's harmless.
Right, because it just runs off.
Exactly. But introduce hurricane dynamics into the mix. Sustained driving wind for 12 straight hours. That wind pressure alters the actual physics of the rain.
Oh, so?
It literally pushes the water sideways, and in some cases, upward against gravity, forcing moisture deep into those tiny crevices.
Oh, wow. Pushing it up.
Yeah. And over a prolonged storm, that moisture travels right into your wall cavities, completely soaking your insulation and your drywall. You might not even notice it until 3 weeks later when you have a massive toxic mold bloom behind your baseboards.
That's a nightmare.
It is. But taking $20 worth of high-quality exterior caulk and spending a sunny Saturday sealing those gaps, that prevents a multi-thousand-dollar remediation project.
That might honestly be the highest ROI home maintenance task in existence.
I agree completely.
But, The exterior armor isn't just the walls and the roof, it's the immediate surroundings, too, the
Y-
landscaping.
Right, the yard.
Yeah. The author talks specifically about palm fronds, dead oak branches, and decorative rock beds.
Hmm.
I was reading the section and it just really struck me. Having poorly maintained landscaping right before hurricane season is basically like supplying ammunition directly to your enemy.
That's a great way to put it.
You spend all this money making your yard look pristine with decorative gravel and a river rock, only for the wind to scoop up those little stones and use them to completely shatter your own living room windows.
Right, because in hurricane-force winds, a piece of decorative gravel is no longer landscaping. It is a ballistic projectile.
A tiny little missile.
Exactly. A dead palm frond becomes a spear.
Yeah,
The aerodynamics of your yard completely change.
that's terrifying.
It is. And even standard maintenance, like ensuring your gutters are clear and your downspouts are actively routing water at least 6 feet away from the foundation.
That becomes critical, right?
Absolutely critical. The sheer volume of water from a slow-moving tropical system will overwhelm a blocked gutter so fast. It'll pull directly against your concrete slab, and eventually hydrostatic pressure will force that water straight up through your floors.
Okay, I'm going to pause you right there because I am honestly struggling with the math on some of this landscaping advice.
Okay, sure. Let's hear it.
I completely understand the physics of the gravel and the water pooling. That makes sense. But tree trimming, having a professional arbor service come out and heavily trim large oak trees costs thousands of
It's
dollars.
definitely not cheap.
Right. So am I really expected to drop, say, $2,000 in May just on the statistical chance that a storm might hit my specific neighborhood in September?
I hear you.
That just feels like a massive waste of capital if we end up having a quiet season.
Well, what's fascinating here is, to answer that, we have to look at the hidden financial incentive that the real estate dispatch highlights. And it's something most homeowners completely overlook.
Okay, what is it?
Insurance underwriters are not flying blind anymore. They are increasingly utilizing satellite imagery and drone inspections to assess the ongoing condition of a property.
Wait, really? From satellites?
Yes, a home with heavily overgrown high-risk trees hanging over the roofline signals to an underwriter that the homeowner is deferring maintenance.
Ah, so you look like a risk.
Exactly. Conversely, proactive landscaping and serious wind mitigation upgrades, like installing impact-resistant windows or retrofitting roof-to-wall hurricane straps, that changes your actuarial profile.
Meaning you can actually qualify for insurance discounts before a cloud even appears in the sky.
Precisely. You are permanently lowering the statistical probability of a catastrophic claim. Insurance companies want to incentivize that behavior because it protects their bottom line.
That makes total sense.
So spending that money on tree trimming or impact windows isn't just a defensive bet against a hypothetical storm. It is an active, aggressive strategy to lower your annual holding costs. You recoup that expense through reduced premiums.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked about the physical armor and how to maintain it. But when a storm is severe enough, even the best physical armor can fail.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. When a Category 4 storm hits and water actually breaches the drywall, the crisis immediately shifts from a structural problem to a math problem.
A very expensive math problem.
Right. How do you pay to rebuild? Which brings us to the financial safety net, or what we might call the paper shield.
The insurance maze. This is where proactive planning either saves a family from bankruptcy or guarantees it.
And the author zeroes in on a reality that shocks a startling number of first-time homebuyers, particularly those moving from out of state. Standard homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage.
Nope, not at all.
Period. End of story. And this ignites a fierce debate I hear from homeowners all the time. They pull up a FEMA map, they see their house is located in Zone X, which is considered lower risk.
Right, the X zone.
Yeah, and they declare that buying flood insurance is a total scam.
Well, this raises an important question about risk. That mindset relies on a fundamental misunderstanding of extreme weather. We look at a topographical map with a designated flood line drawn by a government agency, and if our property line sits 1 inch outside that boundary, we psychologically convince ourselves that the water knows to stop there.
Right, like an invisible force field.
Exactly. But water does not read FEMA maps.
It definitely doesn't.
Okay.
And the source material points out that modern, slow-moving tropical systems are dumping unprecedented volumes of rain in inland areas that have historically never seen standing water.
That's the scariest part.
Yeah, the drainage infrastructure in these lower risk areas simply wasn't engineered to handle 30 inches of rain in 48 hours.
No system is built for that.
Exactly. So the author makes a really compelling case that even outside the high-risk zones, flood coverage is non-negotiable. And critically, in those lower risk zones, the annual premium often costs less than a monthly streaming subscription.
Yeah, the cost-to-benefit ratio in those X zones is undeniably in the homeowner's favor. But there is a massive trap built into the National Flood Insurance Program that catches thousands of people off guard every single year.
Oh, the waiting period.
Yes, the 30-day rule. Buyers are often just stunned to discover that you cannot just call your broker as a hurricane enters the Gulf of Mexico and suddenly purchase a flood policy.
Right.
There is a mandatory 30-day waiting period from the moment you pay your premium to the moment the coverage legally kicks in.
It's exactly like trying to buy a parachute after you've already jumped out of the airplane. It is mathematically too late.
That's a perfect analogy. The insurance industry instituted that waiting period to prevent adverse selection. I mean, if people were allowed to game the system and only purchase coverage when a storm was 3 days away,
They'd go bankrupt.
the entire financial model of the insurance pool would collapse instantly. You have to buy the parachute while you're still standing safely on the tarmac.
So the dispatch gives us some incredibly practical 30-minute homework here. You need to pull out your homeowner's policy today and verify two crucial elements. First, that you actually carry a separate flood policy.
Right.
Second, you need to check if your primary policy offers replacement cost value or actual cash value. And I really want to dig into this because this isn't just about understanding insurance jargon. This is about understanding current economic realities.
Oh, it is the single most important distinction in your policy. Let's break down the mechanism.
Please do.
Imagine you have a kitchen that you renovated 5 years ago, complete with custom cabinets. If a storm rips your roof off and that kitchen is destroyed, an actual cash value policy, or ACV, is going to apply 5 years of severe depreciation to those materials.
Ouch.
Yeah. They will hand you a settlement check that reflects what 5-year-old used cabinets are theoretically worth on paper.
Which, in today's economy, is practically nothing.
Nothing. The math gets incredibly unforgiving when you factor in inflation and supply chain realities. Under an ACV policy, you're receiving a depreciated payout, but you are forced to rebuild your kitchen at today's hyperinflated material costs.
That's terrible.
And furthermore, post-hurricane, contractor labor rates just surge due to regional demand. An ACV policy instantly leaves you tens of thousands of dollars underwater, forcing you to take out loans just to make your house habitable again.
But a replacement cost value policy, the RCV, operates differently, right?
Completely differently. An RCV policy acts as a shield against that inflation. It bypasses depreciation entirely and cuts you a check for what it actually costs to hire a contractor and buy brand new equivalent materials at today's retail pricing.
Wow.
It is literally the defining line between experiencing a stressful rebuilding process and facing total financial ruin.
And to ensure you actually receive every dime of that replacement cost, the realtor insists on conducting a preemptive home inventory.
Yeah.
But, we aren't talking about scribbling a list on a legal pad here.
No, absolutely not.
The directive is to take your smartphone, walk through every single room, and narrate a continuous video. Open the kitchen drawers, open your closets, zoom in on the serial numbers of your expensive electronics. Store that video in the cloud. Why is the video specifically so vital?
It really comes down to the psychology of trauma and the friction of the claims process.
Okay, tell me more.
When you are standing in the wreckage of your living room, operating on zero sleep, your cognitive load is maxed out.
You're exhausted.
Completely. You're not going to accurately remember how many pairs of shoes were in your closet or, the specific wattage of the microwave you bought 3 years ago.
I can barely remember what I had for breakfast.
Exactly. An insurance adjuster's job is to verify losses. Handing them a time-stamped video removes all ambiguity and friction. It provides undeniable visual proof of your assets, which dramatically accelerates your payout.
That is so smart. But once the structural and financial math is settled, the equation gets incredibly personal.
It does.
Because you and your family actually have to navigate the reality of living in the aftermath. That brings us to the human element of preparation. And, ironically, how taking care of these immediate survival needs translates into a long-term real estate asset.
The aftermath of a storm strips away all of our modern conveniences. The human element is about engineering resilience into your household's daily function when the grid goes dark.
Yeah, the source goes into detail in the storm kit. And instead of just listing off the usual suspects like, 7 days of water and non-perishables, they highlight the mechanisms of why certain items are critical.
That context is so important.
It is. For instance, having significant physical cash on hand. We live in a tap-to-pay society, but if the local power grid goes down, those point-of-sale terminals at the grocery store or the gas station are dead plastic.
Completely useless.
Right. Cash becomes the only functioning currency, and they make a very specific safety point. Use flashlights, battery banks, and LED lanterns, but absolutely no candles.
Oh, this is huge. To add another layer to that, the candle warning is rooted in the harsh reality of emergency infrastructure.
How so?
Well, people naturally gravitate toward lighting candles when the power fails because it provides a sense of normalcy,
Right.
comfort.
Yeah, ambiance.
Right. But during the height of a hurricane, you are dealing with extreme barometric pressure changes, sudden drafts from compromised windows, and a highly chaotic environment.
Just wind everywhere.
Yes. If a pet or a gust of wind knocks that candle into the curtains, you no longer have a wind event, you have a fire event.
Oh my God.
And because the roads are impassable with downed trees and power lines, the fire department literally cannot reach your street.
They can't get to you.
Introducing an open flame into a scenario with zero emergency services is an unacceptable risk.
It's a terrifying scenario, but understanding the why really makes it stick. Along those lines, the author emphasizes building a communication plan.
Also,
We are so accustomed to instant connectivity that we assume we can just text our family group chat to check in after a storm passes. But the reality of cell tower infrastructure tells a very different story.
it really does. Cellular networks are incredibly fragile during regional emergencies. First, you have the physical threat of towers losing main power.
Don't they have backups?
They do, they have backup generators, but those generators only hold a finite amount of diesel fuel. If the roads are blocked, the refueling trucks can't get to the towers, and eventually they drop offline.
Right, they just run out of gas.
Exactly. And second, if the tower is powered, you have network congestion. If 50,000 people in one zip code all try to stream video or make phone calls the second the wind dies down, the network architecture simply crashes.
It overloads, which is exactly why the author suggests designating an out-of-state contact as your family's central communication hub. Love the mechanics of this.
It's brilliant.
If local cellular nodes are completely congested, a local call across town will likely fail. But an SMS text message is a tiny packet of data.
Just a few bytes.
Right. It can often slip through the network congestion, ping a tower, and route out of the disaster zone to, say, your cousin in Ohio.
Exactly.
So instead of you and your spouse fruitlessly trying to call each other across Tampa, you both text the cousin in Ohio, and they act as the relay station to confirm everyone is safe.
It works so well.
But you have to map that architecture out with your family while you still have a signal.
You do. And it removes the crippling anxiety of the unknown. When everyone knows the protocol, it provides immense psychological stability in an otherwise highly unstable environment.
So true. Now here is where this deep dive gets really interesting and where the realtor's unique perspective truly shines.
Let's hear it.
We've talked extensively about survival, about mitigating risk and weathering the immediate storm. But the author argues that executing this level of preparation fundamentally shifts the long-term value of the property in the eyes of future buyers.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it flips the standard narrative on its head. It changes how homeowners should conceptualize the capital they deploy for storm readiness.
Exactly. For decades, the prevailing mindset was that storm prep was a sunk cost.
Money down the drain.
Right. You buy plywood, you buy extra batteries, you pay for a roof inspection. It feels like throwing money into a black hole just in case the worst happens. But the author argues that implementing permanent upgrades transforms that sunk cost into a tangible investment.
It really does.
It's like putting a heavy-duty engine in a truck, right? Or bidding a used car that already comes with a 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper comprehensive warranty included in the glove box.
That's a great analogy.
As a buyer, you aren't just paying for the leather seats or the engine performance. You are happily paying a premium to sleep well at night, knowing the risk of a catastrophic repair bill has been entirely eliminated.
Peace of mind.
Yes. That is what you are doing to your house when you add impact windows, reinforce the roof, and maintain a verified history of continuous flood insurance.
That used car warranty analogy perfectly captures the psychology of the current real estate market. The dispatch notes a massive influx of out-of-state buyers relocating to coastal regions.
People who don't know storms.
Right. These buyers have never experienced a hurricane, and they are inherently terrified of the prospect. They are asking far more pointed, granular questions about structural wind ratings and flood history than buyers did a decade ago.
They don't want a project. They want a turnkey fortress.
Precisely. They do not want to close on a house and immediately have to navigate complex local contractor networks to figure out how to retrofit hurricane shutters.
I wouldn't want to either.
No one does. If you, as the seller, have already done the heavy lifting, if the armor is already bolted on and the paper shield is documented, your property instantly stands out from the comparable homes in your neighborhood.
It has to.
It moves faster and it commands a higher closing price because you are no longer just selling them square footage and its kitchen. You are selling them absolute peace of mind.
It is a massive competitive advantage disguised as basic home maintenance.
Totally.
So what does this all mean for you today? We have covered a tremendous amount of ground, from the physics of wind-driven water intrusion to the economics of replacement cost policies and cellular network congestion.
A lot to think about.
But the single most important actionable takeaway from this entire deep dive, the one non-negotiable task you need to complete the moment you finish listening, is to take 30 minutes this week to call your insurance agent.
Make the call.
Verify that you have an RCV policy protecting you against inflation. And if you do not currently carry flood insurance, initiate a policy immediately.
EJ.
Do not get tracked by that 30-day waiting period when the next tropical depression inevitably forms. Secure your paper shield while the sky is still a brilliant blue.
That is the perfect immediate action to protect your financial baseline. And, as you evaluate your home's readiness this week, I will leave you with this final thought to mull over. We have clearly established that the market, whether it's an out-of-state buyer or an insurance underwriter, is willing to pay a premium for a home with proactive, highly visible hurricane upgrades.
Definitely.
So what does your current level of preparation communicate about the overall health of your property? If a prospective buyer sees that you have neglected the obvious, visible storm preparations, they are forced to ask themselves a very uncomfortable question.
What's that?
What unseen foundational maintenance have you also been ignoring?
Wow. That is a heavy, powerful question to end on. It brings everything full circle right back to that sunny day paradox.
It does.
It is so incredibly easy to ignore the structural integrity of your house when the weather is perfect. Yeah. But the deliberate, calculated actions you take on the brightest, clearest days are exactly what will dictate how you and your financial future will weather the darkest ones.